each one of you who can make it here in person. Unfortunately, like we mentioned, there's some people due to sickness or some distance concerns that they couldn't be here this evening, but we're very excited that a lot of them can join us virtually as well. So thank you and welcome for those who are joining us virtually. Before we start with the program here, I want to invite our Alumni Council just so you can meet them. Not all the members could be here this evening as well, but for those who could, I want to invite them up here. So if you're on the Alumni Council, if you can come up real quick, we'll introduce you. All right, we got a couple members here. We have Raymond, and this is Janice coming up here. Both have served 2 years each on the council. We're very thankful for them. If you can come in closer, I'm getting the camera guy pointing at us. And this is Eric. We've started this new process where we do a bit of a co-alumni president setup where we have 2 alumni presidents, so to speak, going on at one time, but they're sort of rotating on and off so that one can be trained.
Just tell the truth, Moses. I'm
for
for the old folks. He's for the young guys.
I didn't want to embarrass you
okay,
right here, but yeah, he's from the old school crowd of '99, which
he doesn't even. Were you born in that?
Probably
decade?
not. No, I was.
Oh, you were.
Just barely. Yeah. But we're so glad again to have you here. I will be stepping down as the main alumni president, so to speak, and Eric will be taking my spot here, and so I'm excited to see him step into that role, and he'll do a fantastic job. President Shaw, would you like to come up as well? I have you on the schedule if you want to introduce your cabinet as well to the people here or say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. President and Mr. President. It is really nice to have all of you folks here this evening. I do want to recognize just a couple of people. We have our past president with us, Dave Smith and his wife Sherry. They served for 5 years here in leadership, so want to welcome you back to our campus. Great to have you here. And I know Yvonne probably never gets recognized, and I know you probably will recognize her later, but I appreciate all the hard work that she's done in setting things up. So I see a couple people on our cabinet. Mr. Tom Verrill is our Chief Financial Officer, so he ensures that our finances are taken care of, and he does an excellent job with that. And then we have Ellen Hostetler, and she's right here in front of me. She's our new Vice President for Advancement, and we're just absolutely delighted that she's here. And we have a lot of our advancement team that's sitting back at this back table. We appreciate you folks very much. I know you're integral to what's taking place here this weekend, so thank you for being a part of this. Anyway, our alumni are just wonderful people. For Southern, you are our financial supporters. You are our prayer partners. Southern Adventist University is just a wonderful university. I tell people sort of jokingly, I'm the first president that's an alum, and they finally got it right. No, Dave, don't joke. No, but you know, with Ann and I coming back, we have such wonderful memories of Southern Adventist University, walking the promenade. Ann and I, we dated while we were here. We had picnics down at the park. It was just a lovely time for us. A great education, great spiritual experience, and Southern Adventist University really is not much different than what it was back in 1980s. We still hold on to the values and the principles that our founders had. So anyway, welcome to Alumni Weekend and to the banquet this evening, and hope you have a wonderful time reminiscing with your friends and getting to know new friends while you're here. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right, thank you. We're going to get started with the awards ceremony here. You'll notice that there's some presenters and some of the recipients who couldn't be here this evening, and so you'll notice some virtual occasions here where people are accepting virtually, and so we're very grateful for that technology to be worked out for that I'm going to be introducing first off the Young Alumnus of the Year, and this is Chris Stiles. I'm going to read his biography here. Unfortunately, he can't be here in person, but we are very excited that he was chosen to be Young Alumnus of the Year. I've met him from time to time, and he's been an integral part to this community. Chris Stiles graduated from Southern Adventist University in 2014 with a BS in film production. His interest in video began from a young age when his parents entrusted him with using the family video camera starting at age 6. Chris enjoyed capturing family events and silly games between his sister and himself with an 8mm videotape camcorder. As he became a teenager, his subject matter changed to creating skateboarding, snowboarding, and wakeboarding videos with friends. Action sport films, especially Warren Miller's ski movies, became Chris's favorite inspiration. Later on in life, Chris spent his summer months working exclusively as a staff member at Cohutta Springs Youth Camp. For 4 summers as a boat driver, audiovisual tech, and eventually as waterfront director. Cohutta Springs is where he met his future wife, Angie Rogers, a fellow staff member. Chris pours his spare time into young people, shared a close friend. Since 2014, his last year as a paid member at Cohutta Springs, Chris has continued to make time to volunteer at a camp as a camp boat driver every year. He keeps up with campers he has had as a young counselor and as an adult volunteer, and regularly checks in to see how they are doing in their personal lives. Some of these kids have experienced brushes with the law, struggled sexually, or battled with substance abuse. Using personal funds, he buys tickets to praise music concerts and sets up caravans of cars to drive these kids to concerts performed in distant locations like Knoxville. He welcomes young people into his home, gives Bible studies when needed, and is always ready to have the hard conversations at a level to which most kids can respond. He teaches tolerance, kindness, hard work, and selflessness. After his best friend died, he had a dream to build a cable park in his name so that more kids could have opportunities to experience wakeboarding. He partnered with Cohutta Springs Youth Camp in fundraising for installing the cable park on their campus. He treats wakeboarding and water sports as a ministry and uses them in ways that provide positive experiences for young people. He has served on church boards and shares musical gifts at church and on the weekends. After graduating from Southern, Chris spent the next year working as a freelance camera operator and camera assistant in Chattanooga area. In spring of 2015, Leaf Ramsey invited Chris to join forces in a new production company. They became business partners, and Pathfinder Films was born as a result. Later that year, Leaf's wife, Lucky Ramsey, graduating in 2010, joined them as an additional partner. The trio has been growing Pathfinder Films over the last 6 years, while clientele expanded from local businesses to include national brands and ad agencies. Along with the growth of the business, Chris and Angie grew their family by welcoming a boy and girl twins into the world in the spring of 2020. The Stiles family continued to reside near Chattanooga, enjoying the miracle of children and looking forward to what God has planned for them in the future. Join me in congratulating Chris Stiles as the Young Alumnus of the Year.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, I'm Chris Stiles, and I'm actually here on campus right now. I was just teaching some students a camera operation workshop here at the studio space, the School of Visual Art and Design, so I thought I'd record this quick video. I want to say thank you so much to the Alumni Association for this award. I'm so honored. I'm honored that I need to be considered. So thank you so much. What an honor to represent my school like this. I'm so thankful and proud of the time I got to have at Southern and the impact that the professors made on my life. Not only teaching me how to to feel confident in my craft and own my craft, but also feel confident in my relationship with the Lord and feel confident in being His disciple. And that's been so powerful for me, walking through my career and having confidence in who I am as a professional, as a craftsman, with how I work with the camera, but also confidence I have in my own faith to be able to talk to people about Jesus if the time arises. So I guess that's why I keep coming back here. I love living in the area. I love sticking around and just taking every opportunity I can to connect with students and stay involved. So I'm not going anywhere for a bit. So if any of you are in the area, I'd love to meet you in person. But I just want to say thank you again to the Alumni Association. I'm very honored. I wish I could be there with you all. So thank you.
Pandemic times call for pandemic measures. To my knowledge, this evening is the first time that our Graduate Alumnus of the Year award is being presented and received virtually, but such are the times that we live in. Unfortunately, I'm not able to be there in person this evening to present Jamal Hobson with this award, but I'm very grateful for the opportunity to present it to him nonetheless. When I first encountered Jamal in July of 2006, I actually didn't encounter him at all. He made a trip to our campus from Florida, where he was living at the time, to complete an admission interview with counseling faculty. It was a very typical July day in the Tennessee Valley. Humid, hot, absolutely miserable. It was the kind of day when air conditioners were fighting a losing battle, and a day that literally made Floridians and everybody else sweat. Later, Jamal would say that he was anxious to get back to Miami, where it was cooler. Jamal and his lovely wife, Ronette, had made the nearly 800-mile drive all the way from Miami to Collegedale. And it was his better half that I met first. Jamal arrived at Summer Hour Hall and went directly into his faculty interview. And I invited Ronette to wait in our main office where I could offer her a seat and a cold drink. And she took me up on the offer. I was immediately struck by her bright smile and her warm personality, and we chatted like old friends. We chatted so long, actually, that our girl talk actually outlasted Jamal's interview. So, Jamal, I have to admit, the very first thing I liked about you was your taste in women. I remember mentioning to Dr. Penny Webster, who conducted your interview, if he's smart enough to have married Ronette, I think he'll be fine. And as it turns out, what I surmised was true. We thoroughly enjoyed and appreciated your time as a student in our counseling program, and we were honored to have been part of your journey and to be able to present you with the Graduate Studies Alumnus of the Year Award this evening. You came to us with a passion for reaching underserved communities, a heart for young people, a desire to mentor African American boys on the path to becoming successful men, the motivation to make a difference, and the God-given talents to make it all happen. During your time in our program, you were not only a model student academically and in character, but you were an exemplary representative of yourself, of Southern, and of our counseling program in every circumstance. I can still remember hearing from Dr. Freeman about a phone call that she'd received from one of your school counseling internship supervisors. She shared that this individual seemed to be so moved by the way you presented and carried yourself and your ability to connect with difficult kids that she could actually hear the emotion in this person's voice as they thanked us for sending you to them. It has really been our pleasure to see everything that you've accomplished and will yet accomplish since completing your master's degree. We know that God has placed a special calling over your life, and we have no doubt that you will continue striving to do the things that you actually shared in that very first faculty interview with Dr. Webster. You said that one of your goals was to cultivate the skill of empowering others, and that you one day hope to run a community center for inner city youth and families, providing a full range of growth opportunities and offering counseling services to give new direction to young people who are struggling to find their way. Well, Jamal, your biography speaks for itself, and you are well on your way to meeting those goals. We are proud to call you one of our own, and even prouder to present you with this year's Graduate Studies Alumnus of the Year Award. Congratulations, and God bless.
Someone that was mentioned in that video was Dr. Penny Webster, and she actually sent a little blurb that she wanted us to read this evening for Jamal as well, so I'm going to read that right now. It says, "I am so proud to see Jamal recognized. I remember him well. He started in the counseling program the year before I left. I remember him as a dedicated student with a mission focus. He'd seen a need and was looking to be equipped to meet it. A quiet fellow in many ways, but he contributed meaningfully and thoughtfully in discussions and in interactions with classmates. I remember his serious investment in his course and career choice, which was, as noted, somewhat different to the area where he'd previously been qualified, in mechanical engineering. I remember him as being creative and adopting a problem-solving approach to the challenges he saw folks facing, with a real dedication to making a difference where it counted. I am delighted to see him honored with this recognition and wish him well in what he is engaged in at the present." Penny Webster.
Okay, I'm presenting the Southern Lady of the Year. Holly Jones Greer joins a group of 30 distinguished women who have been awarded the honor Southern Lady of the Year at SAU. The Southern Lady of the Year embodies the characteristics of service, caring, leadership, and passionate about what she does. And Holly is certainly passionate about what she does. Holly Greer was raised in the Collegedale, Tennessee area and is a product of the Collegedale Academy School System and Southern Adventist University. She graduated from SAU in 1992 with a Bachelor of Music Education and in 2017 with a Master of Science in Instructional Leadership. From 1980 to 1983, she was a member of the Collegedale Caroliers, the Select Voice Choir of Collegedale Academy Middle School, formerly known as A.W. Spalding Elementary. It was during these years that her love for choral music began to grow. While attending Collegedale Academy High School, Holly sang a duet with a classmate, "If I Loved You," for the talent show. They wowed the audience. And this was the moment when family and friends recognized hers was no ordinary gift. Holly, along with her parents and siblings, sang at various church and other events. As a student at Southern Adventist University, Holly was a member of Gym Masters. During this time, the team performed 3 NBA halftime shows, twice for the Atlanta Hawks and once for the Carolina Hornets. Holly was honored to sing the national anthem before each of these games. Other highlights of her college career included singing and traveling with the choral groups, Southern Singers, Something Special, and Schola Cantorum. During her junior year, she was a soloist for Cola's performance of Handel's Messiah. Upon graduating from Southern Adventist University, she moved to Mount Pisgah Academy in North Carolina, where she began her teaching career. During that time, she served as choral director, private voice teacher, development director, and recruitment director. While at Mount Pisgah Academy, Holly married Carrie Greer and had two beautiful children, Thomas and Haley. Haley graduates from Southern in December of 2021. In July of 2000, she and her family moved back to the Collegedale area. 1 month later, Holly accepted the directorship of the Caroliers, following Jeff Lauritsen and founder Marvin Robertson. For the next several years, Holly taught private voice lessons and continued her part-time work with the Caroliers. In July of 2011, she began teaching full-time between Collegedale Academy Elementary and middle schools. She is privileged to teach and direct the Collegedale Caroliers, Cam's Ringers, the Handbell Choir, 5th grade choir, 3rd and 4th grade classroom music, and 33 private voice lessons. She is honored to join Southern Adventist University School of Music as an adjunct voice teacher in the fall of 2021. During her tenure in the Collegedale Academy school system, she has worked with a total of 5 Broadway musicals at the high school, directing the last 2, Hello Dolly and The Music Man. Each of these productions gave students a full-blown Broadway musical experience, including months of rehearsals and 3 to 4 nearly sold-out shows. Through the years, Holly has enjoyed other areas of ministry in our community, including teaching junior division and adult Sabbath school classes, facilitating Bible studies and singing for church services, women's retreats, weddings, and funerals. These days, her happiest musical moments occur when she is singing with her daughter Haley. When she is not teaching, Holly enjoys her family and friends, reading, traveling, and just about anything that includes God's amazing outdoors. Southern Adventist University alumni, faculty, and staff honor Holly Jones Greer for her commitment to developing a strong choral program that focuses on quality choral literature, abundant ministry opportunities, and strong spiritual and music growth for students. Holly, will you please come forward?
Thank you so much. I loved my years at Southern, absolutely loved them. And I love being back in this community to work, to serve, to just live among you people. As far as this award goes, to God be the glory. Thank you.
Humility and determination. Those are 2 qualities that can be a powerful ingredients for an effective leader. And sometime a little over 20 years ago, a young lady walked onto this campus. Her name is Esther Kim, and she exemplified those qualities. She needed the determination with a heavy dose of graciousness and tact to navigate and to negotiate through a brand new academic program that she endeavored. She was the first graduate in that program. She also had a strong passion for children at that time, and I know firsthand. I watched her, or I was the recipient actually, the last year of her academic program, 2 weeks before graduation, when you wouldn't necessarily need to do this, she drove down to Erlanger and greeted my brand new son. And she held him, and there was a little 3-year-old girl next to him, and that little 3-year-old girl recognized the passion that she had for children and was so drawn to it that she named her favorite doll Esther. So she has had Esther Kim has exhibited a passion for young people her entire life probably, but ever since I have known her. So I am just delighted to be able to present Dr. Esther Kim Liu, MD, with the Alumna of the Year Award. Now, let me tell you just a little bit about her. It's in your program, but I'm going to read it out loud so you can see Esther. She currently is the chair of pediatrics and the director of Centering Parenting at the University of Maryland, Baltimore, Washington Medical Center, where she oversees the pediatric emergency room, special care nursery, inpatient pediatric unit, and their winning centering-based pediatric primary care practice. Since the beginning of the COVID-19 crisis, she has been an active member of the University of Maryland Incident Command, providing support and recommendation to state and regional community committees and local organizations. People listen to her. Being the first to graduate from Southern Adventist University with a Bachelor of Science in Biophysics, she would go on to continue her get her medical degree at the Medical College of Georgia and complete her pediatric residency at Golisano Children's Hospital at the University of Rochester, partly because her husband was at the University of Rochester. Esther has been passionate about children's health and safety since pursuing her dream of becoming a pediatrician. She's an active member of the American Academy of Pediatrics, as well as the Society of Hospital Medicine. She has extensive media experience, including TV, radio, online, and print, because she believes that ensuring families have access to reliable and relevant information is an important responsibility of those in the medical field. She also serves on multiple local and state committees tasked with ensuring children's safety and health. You see a pattern here, right? She has been honored by the Baltimore Business Journal's 40 Under 40 as the best and brightest of Greater Baltimore, and she's consistently named by the Chesapeake Family Magazine as in their favorite doctors. If you go online and look up her name, you'll see high praise among her patients. Also a treasured colleague, she's been voted by her peers as a physician of the quarter, as well as receiving nursing and patient recognition awards for her exceptional service and care, displaying compassion and respect, hallmarks of her life. On a more private, personal note, Esther married her husband, Brian Liu, who graduated in 2000. They met in a chemistry class at Southern and have two wonderful children, Caitlin and Joshua, and a tiny poodle named Violet. They currently reside in Columbia, Maryland, when they're not traveling the world. Esther, Southern Adventist University alumni, faculty, and staff are delighted to honor you, Esther Liu, for your outstanding professional contribution and a life of service dedicated to providing exceptional patient care through pediatric medicine.
Thank you and good evening. As I was preparing and thinking back about Sherry and Eric, I found myself drafting and writing and coming like, this is not a eulogy. They are alive and well and thriving. So I'll share a little bit with you. In your program, there's a list of what they've done. What I want to share is on a more personal level, because over the years, Eric and I worked together closely for 18 years managing the campus here. He grew from a cabinet maker, and he's very crafty, and he's a very capable person. Yet he grew to the director of our plant services and served there well and with his organizational skills. I think the thing as I reflect back on both Eric and Sherry is how powerful they were in a quiet way. Neither Sherry or Eric liked to get up front like this. Neither of them wanted any limelight. Neither of them wanted to be noticed or recognized in public. They were very quiet heroes of Southern Adventist University. And I, through the years, got many phone calls at night, middle of the night, weekends, Sabbath, with a problem here on the campus of Southern Adventist University. Eric was always there. He was always responding and helping in whatever way and coming up with solutions because it affected a lot of people. And So it's just been an honor to work with Eric, and I'm just privileged to know him even in a more personal way, because he cared about the Lord. He was active in his church. He was head elder, a leader. School, as far as his school, he was involved there. It was just amazing to me about who Eric was outside of Southern Adventist University. And it was also for Sherry. As I interacted with Eric, Sherry was also a big influence in his life. She was very committed to food service here. She worked for years in different capacities here at food service. She was usually in the back, said very little, but she was a powerhouse. She would decorate. She knew where the tables went. She knew where the chairs went. She knew how to take care of an event. And so I see her even now in the front of Wright Hall. I walk down there and I'm surprised there she is, helping out at the front desk. I've seen her up at plant services. So it's amazing to me how this couple has quietly come to Southern but been a powerhouse in so many things on this campus that I learned to lean on Eric. And if something happened on the weekend and I didn't feel like coming out, he said, I'll take care of it. But so I'm very proud and honored and privileged to see them as honorary alumni of Southern Adventist University, because they cared and they have served God in a mighty way in so many different capacities. So I'm grateful to both of them.
I should have known being retired it would take me longer to get up here.
That's the speaker for the live stream.
President Shaw has the opportunity every workday to see something that some of you may have even never seen. I wouldn't know. And it's something that I think is very important to this university and has been for very close to 130 years. It is a sculpture, and it speaks to the heart of this school. It's a sculpture of Jesus washing the feet of the disciples. And this school is centered and founded on the idea that we produce students who, whatever they do in their professional life, serve other people. And service is at the heart of what we call the Southern experience. So for nearly, again, 130 years, students have been graduated from this school. They have gone all over the world, or they have stayed locally and won't leave. And they have all, many at least, distinguished themselves by finding how they can serve other people who need their help in ways that God has gifted them to do. Unlike many of us, sometimes myself, they don't just watch the television news and kind of think, wow, the world is falling apart, woe is us. They actually do something about it. And what they do makes so many people's lives better. So tonight we have the opportunity to acknowledge and honor the distinguished service of one of our own alumni, David Jimenez, class of 75. You can read in your program about some of the contributions he has made, including and particularly in the field of health care. David is an astute student of leadership and governance, and he has lent his God-given gifts in those areas to many institutions and many boards, and continues to, including the Southern Adventist University Board. But tonight I would like to share with you how David has used his resources and his gifts in service to the needs of organizations that really needed help. Stories that aren't told in your program, and many of these stories could be. Here's one example. Shortly after David retired from work as a healthcare administrator, he was asked by a sponsoring organization to help save their hospital in the country of Guyana. That's in South America, by the way. It so happens that this particular hospital was the only hospital in the country that served AIDS patients. Now, that may not mean a lot to most of you, I don't know. But a number of years ago, I had the opportunity to go for the first time to the country of Kenya. And while I was there, traveling around the country, I kept seeing individuals who appeared to be critically ill. And I would ask the people I was with, how old is that person? Because these people would look like they were walking 90-year-olds, 95-year-olds, and they would say, oh, they're probably 25, 30. These are very, very sick people. And the country of Kenya at the time was ill-prepared to meet the epidemic they were facing. And it was so bad, and it struck me when one day I had the opportunity to go and visit an orphanage near Nairobi, Kenya. That orphanage was comprised, as you would expect, of a number of children, and many of them probably typical children in some ways, but not so typical in other ways. When I first started to enter the orphanage ground, I saw something that I never expected to see, but there on my left was a cemetery. The cemetery was there so that they could bury the children who were in the orphanage. Nearly all of the children had lost their parents to AIDS, and many of the children themselves had AIDS. After singing with them, playing with them, and having a little fellow hold my hand the whole time I was there, and wondering if he would ever let me go, and thinking and wondering how long would he live, what it would be like, I had a little taste of what it might be like to be in a country where the health care was insufficient to meet the needs that people had. So David was asked under those kinds of circumstances to see if he could do something to help that hospital. So he traveled down there. Now, I haven't made that trip, and after listening to what's involved, I'm very grateful that I haven't made it. That's about 6 flights, and it takes a long time to get there from here. But he made that trip, and he assessed the hospital and discovered very quickly that there were 2 main problems. One, they had almost no equipment. There was a hospital that didn't even have an x-ray machine, and they had no leadership. So he talked to his wife, Carolyn, and somehow they negotiated and agreed that it would be all right for him to travel down to that hospital in that country 1 week every month. And I don't recall, Dave, I want to say for about a year, at least a year, year and a half, somewhere in there, presidential terms. And every week for that length of time, he would go down to that hospital. He would try to figure out ways where they could get some equipment and manage to use it. He would try to put together an administrative team. And he spent a lot of time into personally mentoring a person who became the CEO of the hospital and still is, very successfully so. He managed to pull together, with a lot of miracles and a lot of help, 2 of those large, huge shipping containers that you see on barges and other such things, and sent the equipment down there, and before you knew it, the hospital was back in business. They were treating people, they were giving the care that was needed, and as I've suggested, they're still doing that today and doing it well. A second quick example is Bay Vista Adventist Hospital in Puerto Rico. This hospital was in real trouble, and you almost have to have some experience in healthcare to understand why. It has become increasingly uncommon, if not almost impossible, for a single hospital, no matter how good it is, to survive in today's climate. They pool together their resources, they make it as a group and systems are continually joining each other so that individual hospitals can contribute and can survive. But this hospital, Bay Vista, was trying to make it on its own, and it was not working. So the church asked if David would go to Puerto Rico and if he would assess how it might be worked out to join that hospital with some other group of hospitals in that country, or at least on that island. And he explored that. He's a good politician. He did his negotiations. He kind of created his own marriage proposal, and the groups accepted it. I think it was a system, I don't remember, Dave, whether it was 6 or 7 hospitals that would join that one single hospital. And when they did, it saved the Adventist Hospital in Puerto Rico, because now they had access to the resources of the system, but they in turn had an influence on that system. Today, every one of those hospitals in that system, none of whom I think were formally doing it, now have a vegetarian menu in their hospitals for those who might want that. Those hospitals serve as sites for chaplaincy training for Seventh-day Adventist chaplains. And that hospital in Puerto Rico, if you haven't kept up with it, particularly after the hurricane recently hit, is a very strong regional influencer in the entire region. And Dave was a huge part of the backstory of that in a way nobody probably would ever know, and he wouldn't tell you. There are lots of stories like that that could be told that aren't in your program that illustrate why I'm particularly pleased that David is receiving the Distinguished Service Award as an alumnus. I believe it is so well deserved. And Dave, I think there are a lot of people who would thank you tonight for what you have done. I think of a lot of employees of hospitals around the world that wouldn't have a job, and who knows what would have happened to them and their families if you hadn't done what you did. I think of countless patients and their families who were treated at those hospitals and the difference that you made because you cared, you sacrificed, and you served. Because of your commitment to service and recognizing the difference it has made, as it has for so many Southern alumni, it's an honor tonight to acknowledge you as the recipient of the Distinguished Service Award.
I've just decided I need to take Dave on the road with me. Appreciate those comments. I really am supremely honored that Dr. Dave and Sherry took the time to be here this evening, and after that introduction, I'm thoroughly pleased that they were able to be here. That couple, that partnership represents distinguished pastors and professors and college and university presidents, and we're fortunate to have them in this community. I learned about service at a really young age from my father, really, and my mother. They taught me what it meant to help others that needed help. I remember one time when I was about 18 years old, I was walking through a hospital. My father was with me. He was an anesthetist at that hospital. I had already declared my intent, or at least my interest in being a hospital administrator. And he said to me, "David, you see that person over there?" And he pointed to a housekeeper. And he said, "When you learn to treat that person with the same regard and respect that you do the heart surgeon in the OR, you're ready to be a leader." I didn't fully follow his advice. In most cases, I held the housekeepers in higher esteem. But nonetheless, it was an important lesson that I learned. I just want to say in closing that you can't ever give any in excess of what you get back for what you do. There's just a formula there that keeps giving back to the person, and so I've been blessed and honored and just amazingly thrilled to have been able to do some of the things. So thank you all very much, and thank you to the alumni.
All right, my name is Janice Cosme. I am the VP for Homecoming Weekend, and it's been a pleasure to have dinner with such wonderful individuals, especially all the accomplishments that our award recipients have done. It is, what a blessing it is to celebrate those accomplishments. Now would you just bow your heads with me as we close in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I just thank you so much for this wonderful evening. Thank you for the good food, and thank you so much for the company that we have shared together and fellowship. And Lord, I just thank you so much for all of our alumni and the award recipients tonight. Thank you so much for blessing them, and we praise you, Father, that tonight we can celebrate your blessings in their lives and how they've blessed other people. And Lord, tonight as we go our separate ways, I just pray that you be with us, continue to dwell in our hearts, Lord, and help us to continue to serve you all of our days. In your precious holy name I pray. Amen. All right, so that concludes the services for this evening, and hope you guys enjoyed it and have a great rest of your nights.